2025 became a year defined by movement. 8 journeys unfolded across the seasons, connected by coastlines and rivers. Between departures and arrivals, a quiet rhythm began to take shape. Cities appeared along the water, while inland landscapes followed the routes. Each journey stood on its own, yet together formed a single line through time. 110 days on the road, 67 of them spent at sea and on rivers. The numbers settle here, but the memories keep moving. Our journey into 2025 began in Norway. Sailing from Bergen, winter unfolded in snow, wind, and silence. Fjords stood still. Old towns whispered their past. We walked through falling snow in Trondheim, looked up at northern lights dancing above the sea. From the sculptures of Oslo to quiet streets in the rain at Kristiansand, then Viking swords set in stone in Stavanger, and the still waters of Eidfjord, the voyage carried us onward, finally reaching Amsterdam, where this northern journey came to rest. Norway revealed itself slowly, not loud, not dramatic, but vast, calm, and unforgettable. "15 days, 13 cities. From the wind of the Atlantic to the stars of the Sahara. We wandered through ancient cities, colorful alleys, towering canyons, and endless dunes. Heard echoes in sacred mosques. Got lost in the blue streets of Chefchaouen. This isn't just a trip. It's a journey into the soul of Morocco." Our journey in southwestern France began in Biarritz and Bayonne. The sound of the ocean and the open shoreline set the tone for what followed. From Bordeaux, we boarded the river ship and moved slowly inland, sailing through the Garonne, the Dordogne, and the wide Gironde estuary. Oyster tasting in Medoc, wine towns appeared in Cadillac, and the stone walls of Blaye rose above the river, and passed through the quiet landscapes of Cognac. We walked through the old streets of Saint-Émilion, slowed down at the markets and riverfront of Libourne. The journey finally returned to Bordeaux, where walking the city brought history, land, and daily life together. Leaving Bordeaux behind, we flew to Lyon and returned to Rhone River once more. A familiar ship, slow water, and the quiet feeling of coming home. Crossing the Rhone River, the center of Lyon came into view. History opened its doors in Beaune. Time moved gently between Tulle Hermitage and Viviers, and a glass was raised beneath the ruined walls of Châteauneuf-du-Pape. In Avignon, we searched for small pleasures inside ancient streets, then paddled beneath the stones of Pont du Gard. The journey ended in Arles, where Roman ruins and Van Gogh's light still linger. From there, we returned to Paris, walking familiar streets and closing the journey with a final meal. We returned to Central Europe, beginning in Budapest, where the Danube set the pace once more. In Vienna, music and imperial echoes lingered, while vineyards glowed through the Wachau Valley, and quiet light filled Melk Abbey. From Passau to Regensburg, through Nuremberg and Bamberg, Germany's old towns unfolded in stone and autumn air. At Würzburg, the old Main Bridge stood above the river. In Rothenburg ob der Tauber, medieval walls held their silence. Wertheim and Frankfurt brought everyday rhythms back to the riverbanks. The current turned west into the Main, then the Rhine, where Rudesheim and Eberbach Abbey echoed with centuries past. Under the towers of Cologne, cathedral bells marked farewell, until we stepped ashore in Amsterdam. And from the northern rivers, our journey quietly turned south toward the Atlantic light of Portugal's Douro River. Our journey opened in the Atlantic, on Madeira Island, where cliffs and sea winds shaped the horizon of Funchal. From the islands, we returned to the mainland, boarding in Porto as the Douro River carried us inland. Between Regua and Pinhao, vineyards rose in terraces of Cima Corgo, while a pause in golden Salamanca and the steppes of Lamego held the quiet of the valley. The journey returned to Porto, then south through Óbidos and Lisbon, past Sintra and the edge of Cabo da Roca, until the Atlantic opened again at Cascais. This trip took us from island to river and back to the sea. Christmas lights stretched along the Rhine, where bells and candlelight met the winter night. In Cologne, beneath the cathedral spires, markets opened in warmth and music. At Koblenz, the river grew quieter, and in Rudesheim and Wiesbaden, lanterns glowed against narrow streets. Through Baden-Baden and Speyer, the season felt slower, more contemplative. Then Strasbourg rose in layers of timbered houses and light, before the journey softened in Basel, where winter turned still. Along the river, city by city, a season unfolded in scent, sound, and glow. Next, the Seine. Seven days, one river. Stories along its banks. Following the river, we moved through the French winter. From cities to small towns, from grand palaces to cobblestone streets, where history and everyday life quietly meet. This is more than a journey. It's a way of understanding France along the river. Leaving Paris behind, we flew to Munich. Munich greeted us in the hush of Advent. Bells and organ tones rose above Frauenkirche. At Marienplatz, light gathered around the tower. The markets of Viktualienmarkt glowed in winter air. As dusk settled, lights rose in the courtyard of Residenz München. And Christmas returned to Marienplatz once more. We ended the journey with warmth, seafood, wine, and quiet celebration. Eight journeys, 1 year. From oceans to rivers, from winter light to autumn stone. The map slowly filled itself. We followed water across continents, north to south, inward and outward, always moving. Some days were vast and windswept, others quiet and close. In the end, it was not the distance that mattered, but the rhythm of departure and return. And somewhere along the water, a year became memory.